See? It's just a fork. It's okay, it's nice, I promise. Oh, no, you don't eat the fork, Hermione.
Is it working?
Oh, come on, Hermione.
She's louder. Well, we're trying to decide whether to breed Hermione right now or in December. The thing is, Ron is busy covering some sows right now at the other farm. So we'd have to take her over there and then we don't get to see it and everything. Whereas if we wait till December, then Ron can be here and we can make sure everything's going to plan.
The reason why we're trying to get Hermione to lay down is because we wanted to trim her hooves, but or her feet, are they called hooves or are they called feet? But she's not letting us do that, so.
This is the way that she won't bite you.
Oh my god. She won't scream.
You have to give her food.
Still doesn't like it.
Oh man. Tilly, what do you think of that?
Just getting a couple of snippy snips in there. Tilly's just like, what in the world?
Well, I guess we're never gonna use this fork again. It was pretty crappy anyways, so yeah.
Was it your favorite fork?
It was my favorite fork, and it was ruined.
Luna likes the fork.
Oh, Luna. You're such a good
She won't
girl.
roll on her back, but she likes the fork.
Well, it took forever to cover the floor with the epoxy white covering, so I can finally finish the baseboards.
Well, the shower kit was kind of a disaster. A little hard to do, but
It just takes a really long time to get everything perfect.
and then you're worried about hitting the epoxy that was still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
But we finally got it in eventually. My favorite is this big old handle right here.
Yes, looks
Yes.
good. It's a really good one. It moves so smooth.
So those of you that have followed us on Instagram know that this paint job has been a bit of a disaster.
It's a fiasco trying to find the right paint and the right sheen so it's not all shiny.
Well, I wanted like an off black, but it seemed like all the blacks had this blue in it, so everything looked navy, and I didn't know if it was my eyes or what. So we painted it once. It looked good, but not perfect.
Yeah, it's too shiny, so add a little bit of blue appearance.
So we did a second coat of a really black paint.
That has no tint of anything else in it, and then we got the very flattest stuff. It's called this contractor grade from Sherwin-Williams, and once it dries, it's so flat, it's not shiny at all.
Yeah, so now it's perfect and it's just what I want. It's got a nice flat paint, but it's more of a muted black. It's perfect. I'm excited to put this whole room together.
It's the perfect accent wall.
So this is the before, and then this is the after with a little bit more black paint on it. Can you tell a difference, Kevin?
Totally.
I can tell a difference. I think it looks a lot more muted. I like it that it's flat paint.
Yeah,
It looks really good, so I'm happy with it.
it does. We found the perfect one.
Well, I'm in here just staring at my beautiful new wall. Isn't it gorgeous? And Zachary, Doris's new owner, just sent me some videos of how she's doing. So I thought I would show you guys. Let's take a look. The cool thing is they're on a really big property, so there's plenty of places for her to roam. And I love that they have just toys everywhere for them to play on. Dang, I need to get my kids to run more with our goats because they definitely love it when you run with them. I'm actually really excited to see her be a therapy goat in action. So when he gets me videos of taking her around to different places, I will share those with you guys as well. This makes me feel a lot better. I was pretty worried about how she was gonna do, but I know she'll do fine. She's a pretty strong goat and not really fazed by much. So glad to know she's doing well.
All right, Stella, are you ready for your 50 millionth ultrasound? I think she's excited. This one is gonna be different.
Hurry, run. Oh, no. Stella has been so hungry.
Goodness.
So let's see how many she actually has. If you guys remember, we had ultrasounded Stella at her 35-day mark, but now she's like 42 days. So we think we'll be able to see more of the sacks and figure out whether they were just sacks with babies or just empty sacks. So we'll see. Okay, moment of truth.
Come on, Stella.
Okay. Oh my gosh! Okay, I definitely see the one right there. You see it moving?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that one. Let's see, let's move this around. So I see one here, two right here. So there's definitely two. Okay, hold on. So yeah, so there's that one right there. You guys see that's right in the middle. And then if I roll it around, I see the second one right there, and possibly 3, 4 hidden back here.
Just sacks though.
Okay. Okay, so I'm thinking that it's still a little early to see all of the different sacks, but we definitely see 2, possibly 3 or 4. So we're gonna give it another week and then we'll ultrasound her just to have like a final check, since I'm still pretty new at this. In the end, you really never know how many babies goats have. It's still a guess, even with the most experienced technicians, so it's kind of fun for us to do it ourselves. We like doing that.
Well, at least Stella is finally pregnant after all of these weeks of trying. I think Zorro and her are gonna make really cute babies together.
Well guys, it's not really cool here yet, but I'm gonna treat it like fall because I'm craving a creamy soup for tonight. I'll start by chopping up an onion, or an onion, whichever you like, and then we'll start cooking everything in my big soup pot. I've got some olive oil and butter, and to that I'll add the onion, and then we'll go ahead and saute that until it cooks down. Next I'll add the carrots and some salt and pepper, and then about 1/3 cup of flour. And the reason why we add flour is of course to get it to thicken later. But we also need to kind of cook that flour first. So I'm gonna just kind of brown it a little bit in the pan, and then we'll add the broth. Lots and lots of broth. About 2 quarts in fact. Finally we'll add just a ton of broccoli. And if you haven't guessed it already, yes, we're making broccoli cheese soup tonight. Once I've added the broccoli, I'm gonna bring the pot to a boil. And the main purpose of this is to cook the carrots and of course the broccoli without overcooking the broccoli. Have you ever cooked broccoli and then it just, your whole house smells like one big fart? Yep, we don't want that to happen. We don't want to overcook it. So I keep checking it as I go and making sure that we get it just tender enough but not soggy. And once we hit that stage, I'll blend it a little bit with an immersion blender, because while I want this to be a chunky soup, I also want it to be a little bit more pureed. It'll also help thicken it. Finally, I'll add the cheese, a bunch of cheese, and then a little bit of cream. And there you have it. One little trick is if it isn't thick enough to your liking, you can always add a mixture of cornstarch and water. Just like a couple tablespoons of cornstarch to a couple tablespoons of water. Mix that together and pour that in, and that will help thicken it. If your heat is high enough, it'll thicken it well. That's it. Oh man, you guys, this was so good with a piece of crusty bread. You gotta make it. I'll put the recipe in the description below. So I don't know how you guys spend your evenings, but tonight I am finishing up some paperwork. I'm kind of late on the baby goats that we decided to keep. And I found this kind of funny thing I thought I'd show you. When you're choosing a name, you know, you can fill it in however you want. Our herd name is Wolf Tree, and then you can do whatever. And it looks like it says Mr. Winston because I have an MR, which is actually Moonrider's initials. I wanted to start doing this for my herd because you don't see it on every registration paperwork. See, you do see it on Moonrider BM. It's nice to know who somebody's, you know, sire is. So I just thought it was funny that it says Mr. Winston. I feel like that's what we should call him now. It's the same for Winnie, and it's the same for Tatum. I thought that was funny. So just like how in Lord of the Rings, they say Mr. Frodo, I think we should say Mr. Winston. It's only right. Well, Look who's in heat again.
That's good. I guess we know she's healthy and
happy. Oh my gosh. So we've had a lot of people ask if this is how bucks normally act or if this is just Winston. Well, it is pretty normal. Bucks are pretty vocal, but it varies depending on the buck. So Winston's definitely a very vocal buck.
yeah, she is.
Zorro is a little bit, but not as much as Winston.
Yeah.
Mr. Winston, actually.
And Luna's not very vocal. She never talks.
You think I have something? The good thing is that Luna's not going to be in heat like year round. She's only going to be in heat in the fall.
That's true.
So that's nice that since she's a Nubian, she's a bigger goat, she's not going to have these heats every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Only in the fall.
only in the fall, and then she's done. She'll be done with the boys. But she definitely loves coming by and visiting them
All day long.
throughout the day. It's so nice to have a bucks now. They're just sitting there fighting because they both want to be with Luna. Who wouldn't? Goats, 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 goats! Come on! Come on! Good job, Penny. Everybody likes Kevin's little tree house he built for the goats, which means he just stuck a little spool in between 2 tires, but they still love it. See, Willow and Winnie are the smartest because they come up on the second
Oh yeah, look at that.
floor. All right, Kevin, what have we decided about the coyote situation?
Well, we're taking different precautions. We're locking up with a padlock at night on the barn, locking up the chickens really well, and making sure the electric door opens right at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Locking the little bucklings up.
Locking the bucklings up at night in their cage. And then we'll see, still deciding on dogs and geese.
Yeah, the only downside is my friends have geese and their coyotes still eat them.
Yeah.
So
Maybe geese for an alarm.
if we're out here and we see a coyote, then we'll definitely come out and shoot it. But so far, I've checked the security cameras and he hasn't come back yet. I know he had plans to because he buried those chickens, but we still haven't seen it yet. So we're on alert. The thing is, even though we live in the city, we're not the only ones that have chickens. A lot of our neighbors have chickens. It's really popular around here, so I'm sure that those coyotes have plenty of food source. We're just hoping that ours isn't gonna be its food source. Right, Willow? Alright guys, thanks for joining us in this video. If you want to see a really fun video the last time Ron and Hermione were breeding, go ahead and click right here.